was happy then. It could all have been progress. I am sorry, my love, but this isn't my anger. I am over it. I have seen the sadness of the world, but I find stillness in the fact that I don't have the power to change it. Then you break in, punching through with one fist of anger, one fist of hope.
Forward. What has been done is the greatest achievement of organized science in history.
And of course I see you, love you, as I understand exactly how you feel. A redundant female artifact, ready to be consumed by those who manage to fake a hunger.
Forward. Is the greatest achievement of organized science in history.
You said, just look at the wars. If we can do this much damage, we could do so much good. And I thought to myself, if you can bestow me such pain, imagine what pleasures you can cause me. We left. It happens all the time. Populations grow out of their civilizations. Lovers out of their relationships. Civilizations fall. People move on. But you are not the kind of love one learns to live without. And this time, our civilization is global. If we fall, who will be left to take over?
This is Venus, yeah, this is Venus. There's one little village store here. 3 churches and no bars. My name's Colin Calloway.
What do you do?
I'm a fish farmer.
Have you heard about the Venus Project?
Oh, yeah. Everybody's heard about the Venus Project. Jacque Fresco and Roxanne Meadows, yeah, they're great people. Jacque is just a pure genius, way beyond his years. And I've seen some of the work he's done building a world of the future on renewable energy. And it's just fantastic what can be done if you let it be done. And unfortunately, what this country's doing, and not just this country, all over the world, really is all about basically greed, money and greed, and power by the corporations. Okay, this is the Venus Project right here.
I'm back where you took me 5 years ago, when you said you had found our future. Of all the nations you explored, I was surprised you'd find your answer here. But you were my truth, so I believed you.
My guest is an extraordinary Miamian, Dr. Jacque Fresco. I could go through all the things that Dr. Fresco has done. He's a social engineer, industrial engineer, designer, inventor. He was a consultant for Rotorcraft Helicopter, director of Scientific Research Laboratories, Los Angeles, designed and copyrighted various items, ranging from drafting instruments to X-ray units, developed the electrostatic anti-icing systems, designed prefabricated aluminum houses. What does it say in your driver's license? What is the occupation?
Industrial designer.
Jacque, you,
Social engineer.
does it bug you that people, when they talk about Jacque Fresco in Miami, say that he's someone who's too far ahead of his time? His thinking is, we're not ready for advanced kind of thinking, of that type. Does it bug you?
I imagine every creative person in every field encounters that sort of problem. No, it doesn't. I can't afford it. There's too many things that are important.
I feel different now. Since you always remain happy in the future, I thought I would find you here.
Hello. Hey. Hey, Roxanne.
You.
Good to see you. How are you?
I'm fine.
Hello,
How are
Jack.
you?
Very well.
Have a good trip?
I had a very good trip.
Welcome.
Thank you.
How could all countries of the world be brought together on a new
They
path?
won't be brought together. It has to be an economic collapse, and that has to affect the world. And they all have to turn to science, because it's the only thing that provides answers. If I say to you, you know, people ought to learn to live in harmony, that tells you nothing. It just tells you my feelings about it. If I say, people aren't smart, their nature is evil, that doesn't tell you anything. What people really need is solutions. They need lighting, they need electric power, they need food. Without that, no matter what your philosophy is, you will suffer. So people in charge make laws. Laws are artificial ways of trying to control behavior that you can't manage. If you break the law, you go to jail. But real problem is, how do we deal with that problem so that people are not hungry, that people don't steal, that people don't kill?
You have to remember that people aren't born with greed and envy and hatred and prejudice. They learn that within the culture that they grow up in. So you have to design a society that does not generate that type of behavior.
And this is what you've been doing at the Venus Project for the
Trying.
last 40 years.
Trying to do.
Trying to do.
Yes.
It's raining again.
How could you, of all people, believe them? That society can be redesigned like machinery? That buildings, structures, systems will make people evolve? You hardly leave your forest anymore.
We have to manage the Earth in accordance with the Earth's productive capability, not some opinions of a senator, congressman, or industrial leader. Okay, Rox.
Can you pull it all the way back and try again?
If we use science and technology wisely, and machines instead of people, and turn out buildings in a new way, like industrial processes, it would take less than 10 years to build a second Garden of Eden. I have some other drawings I'd like to show you. This is a drawing of a house that generates electricity, generates its own power. So the building itself will maintain itself. If there were a crack due to an earthquake, that crack will automatically set in motion materials that are crack filling and self-healing. You don't call a plumber, you don't call a person, because the building itself will be like the seed of a tree in which it has the memory of the total building structure. It has its own genetic code. The future will be a fantastic place. I may not see the future, but you girls will.
You point out that the word war in Sanskrit literally means not enough cows. To you, their belief in socio-economic conditioning is ancient Hindu wisdom.
People become more amiable when they have access to clean air, clean water, and arable land, and a permanent job. So there's no fear of unemployment when the machines come in. If they shorten the workday, give you more vacation time, people become different. But when they're scared, they see a new machine being brought in. Does it mean I'm going to lose my job? Will my profession be phased out? People are burdened with so many problems of insecurity.
We all agree in theory, but you were not so happy applying it to us. Did you not hate me for living my life as a social experiment? Trying to love as freely as your new world.
Well, that's where you started, isn't it?
All of these things can be built with what we know today. It would take 10 years to change the surface of the earth, to rebuild the world into a second Garden of Eden. The choice lies with you. The stupidity of a nuclear arms race, the development of weapons, trying to solve your problems politically by electing this political party or that political party, that all politics is immersed in corruption. Let me say it again. Communism, socialism, fascism, the Democrats, the liberals, we want to absorb human beings, women's lib, all organizations that believe in a better life for man. There are no Negro problems or Polish problems or Jewish problems or Greek problems or women's problems. They're human problems. To come into socio-cyberneering and take your part and function.
If my way of loving makes me lose the people I love, what is it for? What's the point of designing a perfect society if you can't live there?
Do you care about your society?
Well, I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't. And care is to translate your feelings and compassion into a working project. Instead of working on patchwork, let's tackle the whole system and see if we can design a culture that would be sustainable and not socially offensive.
Marriage used to be solely an economic arrangement.
In the future, love will be universal rather than directed at one person. Really, it's a kind of a selfish, self-centered thing. And besides, it's really impossible to love one person because you will love as many people that you meet that are lovable. And you can't help that. And that's where the future is going.
I was reading the Looking Forward book again.
The old book.
Yeah, the really old book. It's amazing. You were speaking about the same things already then.
Oh, yes, similar. But I'm not psychic. It's just called extrapolation in science.
Yeah.
It's nothing magic.
No.
It's based on just projecting technology to the next step.
But a lot of the social ideas have
Yes.
still not come around.
Well, sure, you can't have advanced value systems. You can't arrive at them in this type of economy.
So you think it's the economy that is holding the social issues
Oh,
back?
yes, very much so.
Is it because you can't be independent enough to choose?
Yes, you're too dependent today to be a free thinker.
Do you never feel sad that people
Yes.
are...
I feel very sad. That's why I write books.
Yeah.
I feel very sad that I can't share what I've experienced because it makes life so much easier for me.
Yeah.
It's easy for me to invent things, design new things. I don't think a lot about it. You know, it comes because of my questioning, what's the roof for? To keep the rain off. Well, if I had an umbrella, just a stick that caused the rain to leave electrically, I don't need the cover. If I'm walking down the street with that stick alone, normal people would wonder what that is. I'm afraid of normal people. I understand all that. That's why I say I can't get much done in this type culture.
Yeah.
Because I have very few people I can identify with. The minute you utter the first few words, what do you mean we don't have free will? What's the price you pay for going off the beaten path?
I never thought that lonely equals strength. I leave that to you more masculine heroes. But it seems like whenever I am strong, I become lonely. If the strength you give me makes me leave you, then please break me, so I can come back and heal by your side. To love in moderation. How do you do that? I don't want to limit you. I want to raise you to the sky. Is there some part of me missing?
I do foreclosures. I maintain foreclosed homes.
What's that?
That is a nasty job. That is when people don't pay their mortgages, they send a guy like me to go in and remove those people. It's probably the only business now in the United States that is at its peak. People are too greedy.
And do you ever feel like you're a part of that greed doing this job?
Well, I'm just a part of, I guess you could say that. I guess you could say that. I mean, me securing my future and my family's future, yes. I feel bad for other people, but unfortunately, I'm just one person. I really can't do anything about it. Maybe it's just a part of people, the way people are such consumers, and they want to buy everything up.
But don't you think if you are brought up in this society, you will become a good consumer?
Oh, absolutely.
So maybe if you were trained differently from the start.
That is correct. That is correct.
That's what Jacque is all about. You should go and see.
Really?
Yeah. No, it's definitely worth paying a visit.
No kidding. Unfortunately, I'm caught up in that hustle and bustle. Maybe I would love to speak to Jacque and listen to everything he's got to say, and he might be the one person that's right in the whole United States. Yeah, he might be. But then again, I am so busy with work that how could I slow down to go speak to good old Jacque?
We were just children when we met, and I had no reason to believe that the hurt from your past had anything to do with me. Instead, I believed your words, so sweetly whispered in my ear they stuck to my heart. I was free, you told me, my own to do what I wanted, go where I wanted, to be with anyone whenever I felt like it. But if I did, you would probably leave me. Not really a choice, but you were the first. And the thought of wanting anyone else, even for a second, quite impossible. Pain was someone else's. Our job to support the less fortunate. Smug and wholesome, we were promised the world. We must have been happy, as for years we didn't mark time passing. Those years you put all that sugar in my tea, lovingly joking about my sweet tooth. Faking cohesion, a bit like faking orgasms. A dark deprivation of pleasure, as it's suddenly too late to tell the truth. I still hate sugar in my tea. As you were determined to become the provocateur of global change, you were busy with the world. And I, who didn't care about becoming something, but wanted to provoke everything, was still waiting for my life to start.
During the Depression, it was obvious to me that something was wrong with our culture, the way we did things and the use of money, because there were all kinds of things available in store windows, radios, dishwashers, but people just didn't have the money. Of course, I realized then it wasn't money that people needed. What they needed was access to the necessities of life. I see constant repeat of the same series of events. War, poverty, recession, again, boom, bust, and war again.
But the same problems that we see today in the monetary system of war and hunger and waste and so on. They are problems that have existed before the monetary system. They existed in civilizations before this one.
Yes, true.
So why would we be able to change it now?
Because of the technology. We now have the means for solving all problems of scarcity. With mass production, engineering, science, and technology, we can produce an abundance for everyone.
Prior to the year 1800, North America was a low-energy civilization. A young man by the name of James Watt developed the first double-acting steam engine. More technology was installed, man-hours per unit drops very radically. We have a very, or should have, a very happy situation, a very high capacity to produce and an ever-declining need for human toil.
A United Nations report is warning that man is having a negative effect on almost every aspect of the Earth's environment and is heading towards catastrophe unless urgent action is taken.
We were promised the world. The world is heavy to possess. I can't even cope reading the newspapers anymore. I am responsible for this sadness.
But within the system that we live in now,
Yes.
is it reasonable to be scared of technology?
Yes, because when a machine comes into industry, they don't shorten the workday, increase your vacation time. They put you out, they downsize.
Now, isn't it rather ironic that the greater our ability to produce becomes, that we should suffer a diminishing ability to consume?
I have no excuse not to cope with normal days, no rights. So I shut down. And with that, the world is surprisingly happy to aid. I thought I had duties as a human. But he keeps telling me my duty is towards myself. I don't argue that I can't see a difference, or that I'm skeptical that the pills he is offering will help against the sadness of the world. But he has the authority of truth and a title to prove it. And it is a relief to think I am ill, not the world.
Back in the days of the Depression, when there were so many people without jobs and their families were hungry, we began the practice of destroying crops or killing off livestock. This was done to validate the price system.
Ironically, me being crushed seems enough for you to feel secure. I am so dependent on you holding me together, that you are shining with purpose and undying love. And it's easy to love in moderation, as any emotion is a declining resource inside me. And they stuff sunshine in my mouth. Sunshine.
Put you in the Winston tastes good like a cigarette should. Winston tastes good like a cigarette should.
People, step right up, step right down. This may be the last chance for you to shoot the freak. You gotta take advantage of it while you still could, people. There's a live human target right this way. He runs around, you shoot him.
The economy. You know, I don't know that much about it, hon. All I know is, I'll give you an example. I went to sleep one night, and the tomatoes were 59 cents a pound, which is high. I woke up the next morning, they were $1.99. So I said to myself, I'll fix them. I won't go to sleep anymore.
Ready, people. Check it out. Check this way.
We have no honest communication left. But we do have the power to hurt. And like politicians who encourage the population to consume more when the country is in economic crisis, we put more drama and chaos in circulation. However bad for the people, it works. It does save the economy, saves the relationship. More people make a living out of cancer than die from it, you told me once. I never wanted to cause you pain. But we keep creating the symptoms to have something left to treat. And together, we deny it. Our relationship is secured, but we develop a more honest connection with anyone else. However brief at the bar, however drunk in the kiss, it kisses us deeper than we can. You truly treat me as a princess, as if you are an old-fashioned man in your prime. You treat me badly, and I love you for it. I feel purified by putting up with you. Liberated, even. I am using you. I am treating you badly. Fuck the golden balance. No one gets rich on happy people.
The entire money-structured and materialistic-oriented society is a false society. 10 or 15 years from now, our society will go down in history as the lowest development in man. We have the brains, the know-how, the technology, and the feasibility to build an entirely new civilization.
But also self-harm loses its glory. Or maybe it's just survival kicking in. But in the end, we have to face the fact that we do this to ourselves. That we are victims only of our own misguided powers. There has to be a better way to die.
You've destroyed a great British bank. You've cost the taxpayers $20 billion.
Special responsibilities is protecting our financial system, whose failures drove us to crisis. It's very difficult for a lot of people.
It happens all the time. Populations grow out of their civilizations. Lovers out of their relationships. Civilizations fall, people move on. If the structures we live in destroy us, in the end, we have to revolt against them. And we can no longer afford our own economic system. My heart beats me. Just look at the wars. If we can do this much damage, we could do so much good.
I only found one system outside of the monetary system that utilized technology, and that was Technocracy Incorporated. So I left New York to join Technocracy.
So we revolt against our past. We have decided to feel differently. We kiss in sincerity, fully awake. And let each other go.
Here they come.
The dinners are about to become perfect, and the conversations more meaningful than most in life.
Technocracy is all over this entire continent.
We are about to love fully, to give it all without conditions, limits.
Shedding tears of joy and pride as our motion picture unit rolled past this seemingly endless line of shining Technocracy gray cars.
We will meet when our roads cross, naturally. And if they don't, we will hardly notice. as we will live fully in the moment.
This was the first time in history that an international boundary had been crossed by any social movement in a mass demonstration such as this.
And we're about to do it all without trying.
At last, we arrive.
Hello. Hey.
I'm George Wright, Senior Board Member of Technocracy Incorporated.
Senior Board Member, Maja Borg. Nice to meet you.
Same here.
Nice to meet you.
Pleasure. These programs are not intended to entertain or amuse you, nor are they meant to scare you. And technocracy is a new design for social operation that is based upon science. It is the vehicle by which we can move into a new era for better living.
The grouping of the prominent scientists, engineers, economists formed the Technical Alliance because they wondered why it was that during the First World War, the productive capacity of the United States increased, even though the workforce had shrunk.
We have runaway inflation, chronic unemployment, political corruption at all levels of government, rampant crime, poisoning of the environment, and so forth and so on. And we have failed to solve any of these problems because we refuse to recognize the cause. And that is the outmoded economic system under which we are operating. We're not talking about capitalism or free enterprise, nor are we referring to political controls. We're talking about the basic system that all nations use in their day-to-day affairs, buying and selling in the marketplace.
It's no longer necessary for us to earn a living by the sweat of our brow. That's what technology has done for us. But by trying to hang on to the old ways without considering anything but the profit expansion, that's the problem.
Money at one time was a great means of rationing out scarcity, but those conditions don't exist anymore. With modern technology, we can produce an abundance of goods, enough for everybody to have as much as they want without waste, as and when they want it.
It's incontestably proven that we have more than enough. It's just that the way we manage our resources are wasteful. We change the spring fashion, the fall fashion, the winter fashion, so you will constantly be involved in purchasing things. In the future, we will design cars to last, designed not to wear out and break down.
This system was designed to do everything efficiently at the lowest possible cost, and to the greatest benefit, the system would collapse. Every problem we face in society today, what is preventing us from completing it is money. Why not get rid of it? It's something we invented, we can just easily introduce something new. In 1939, it was estimated that people only need to work 4 hours a day, 4 days a week, for 20 years of their life. We could be consuming at a rate of $100 per day. Now that's 1939 figures. You can say that would be now $2,000 or $3,000 a day. Except you wouldn't have to repay it.
So how much I work is not directly translated into how much I earn?
No,
that's right.
No, everybody would have the same consuming power. It wouldn't make any difference whether you were sweeping the streets or you were running a sequence. Some people would be content with doing the minimum amount for their 4-hour day, 4-day week and getting their consuming rights. But you or somebody else would be more interested in how far you could go in a particular sequence. And you would work as hard as you could to achieve the ultimate aim, which would be directly that sequence.
It strikes me as a little bit of a shame almost that we are going to sort of redesign the whole culture and we're still going to base it on competition.
No, you're not competing, it's up to you. You would probably be recognised or looked up to, if you want, by your peers, by what you had achieved, not by what you acquired, which is the case today.
You freely gave your life to society, without a reward. Here they ask for less, but command it.
If you demand me to be with you, even for an hour, I can't choose to, not freely, even if I want to forever.
Social change is coming whether you like it or not, and technocracy is the means by which you can prepare yourself so that you can decide whether you want science or chaos.
And so, of course, we choose the glorious chaos. You set off a few revolutions and I've set off a few hearts. We don't have to count or compare. Passion sticks on any surface, and freedom stirs any soul that's alive. We are exercising a muscle. We are getting strong. Around us, people use this freedom to escape responsibility, ending up hurting each other badly. We did it ourselves, remember? And even if the intention is good, the outcome is risky. All those people you inspired to freedom now look to you as a leader. That is recycling, not revolution. And the freer I become with my lovers, the more power I end up having over them. That is the plain irony of this life. With freedom there is responsibility, and with power, well, there is power. And without the protection of prefabricated truths and man-made lies, one has to learn to be honest. And there are many more lies one can live than the normative.
I felt that technocracy did not go far enough. I was not interested in advocating a technological leadership. So I left technocracy. I had the deepest regard and respect for the methods of science, but when I met individual scientists, they were so trained in their narrow discipline that they can hardly talk to each other. Once I met with Einstein, I wanted to talk about social conditions, but he kept referring back to mathematics. He said, "Are you interested in Boolean geometry?" He kept asking me. And it seemed to me that mathematics could be a wonderful tool to help us understand things, but not applied to social systems, it meant very little to me. All of the radical thinking that evolved during the Depression, the Communist Party, the Socialist Party, the Technocrats, Mankind United, all had remnants of decadence, of old language and older values that were imparted to them in their culture, so they were unable to come up with something fresh and new. And so I began to examine my own values and ask, why is it that I believe certain things? At that time, I figured I'd like to go to the South Seas to see what people were like that were not contaminated by so-called civilized values. My visit introduced me to sets of values that were far different than my own. When the old men pulled in a net full of fish, they threw fish to anyone standing there and did not necessarily expect anything in return. It was a sort of a resource-based economy. They had the resources, they shared it with one another. Say if it rained gold for 2 days, people would empty all the drawers, put the gold in there, right? In the attic, in the cellar. But suppose it rained gold for a year, you'd sweep it out of your house. We don't monitor the air you breathe, which is very valuable. There's so much of it. We only monitor things that are scarce.
I think you had moved to the Middle East by the time I finally found you to ask, what am I doing with my life? You are living the dream, baby. You replied with all the warmth and security in the world. Together with you, the chaos makes sense. You don't try to deny it. You somehow use it to fly. But humans do not fly. They can only launch themselves a humiliatingly small distance into the air. But they can fall, as deep as the earth allows. You must already have been pregnant by then. How could you not tell me?
It is not that people are evil or greedy. The conditions that socially support the system force us to behave in socially offensive ways. Every time the nation ran into trouble, they called scientists. Can you make an atom bomb? Can you make a war tank that can go underwater? Just what you have to tell them what you want, and they always came up with it. We never asked scientists, how would you feed all the people of America? How would you build cars that can't hit each other? We never gave them those assignments. All that we have to do is ask ourselves, what kind of future do we really want?
At the hospital, they say you are too weak now to speak. My relationship to the patient, well, we were supposed to change the world together. My answer doesn't tick the right boxes, and they refuse to answer my questions, both about you and the baby. It's easier to be angry than scared. There must have been a new plan for the future without me. Or at least some carelessness. You are free to do what you want, of course, but I had different delusions. Who the fuck am I in this equation? I never in my life felt so useless. You are not Mary, and I have been far away. How do you think that people would feel if they didn't need to contribute to their society and they didn't have to go to work?
They'll feel just like the Iceman. When the refrigerator came in, we said, we don't need you anymore. We now have a refrigerator. So he had to go learn something else.
I can understand it, but I still want to be needed. I have a need to be needed.
Yes, and we need you to make your contribution. But if you make no contribution, you're not needed. Everybody turns against the machine. We have too many machines. We don't have enough machines. This is the problem. We've got too many humans in high places that are insufficient mentally to solve problems. It isn't humanism that got rid of slavery. It's technology. Machines are cheaper and faster than slaves. The reason for all the technology is to free people so that they can pursue whatever area of interest they are into.
Professor Rexed, vad anser ni karaktäriserar år 2000?
År 2000 kommer vi att leva i ett massproducerat välfärdssamhälle. Produktionsapparaten kommer att domineras av mycket stora företag som ofta kommer att vara globala. De kommer att fungera med hög automatisering och stark rationalisering. Jag tror för det första att den bildning och den allmänna medvetenhet som präglar dem kommer att göra att människorna i den tiden kräver sysselsättning av kulturell natur i högre grad än nu. De kommer att vara roade av att tänka och syssla med konst och böcker och film och liknande. Kanske själv till och med utöva sånt.
År 2000, då har man fullständiga valmöjligheter. Och man säger så här, att det här är ett litet bostadspaket, ungefär 150 kvadratmeter. Det är det som man köper och det kan placeras ut i terrängen som en villa var som helst. Vi kan se här på den här lilla modellen vi har. Och om man inte är nöjd med det så kan man ta sitt lilla paket. Det kommer en transportkopter. Alltså en helikopter som transporterar den här, lyfter den upp med familj och allting. Och det kan ni tänka er hur intressant det är att hela familjen sitter inne i det här bostadspaketet, hela lägenheten med möbler och allting till en annan ort där man hyr ett fack och plötsligt bum så är man placerad där och man bor på ett helt annat sätt.
Does anything turn out as we planned? Technology promised to free man from labor, to liberate women. But instead, we made ourselves redundant. Our society does not need us anymore. But since we are stuck in our cost-effective, mass-produced houses, we need to fight for full-time jobs to pay the rent.
Has anything like this been tried before on a larger scale? I mean, communism had the idea of cooperation.
They had no idea how to do it, though. They want the working class to earn more. They really need machinery to free the working class to go back to school, to become better informed, so they can contribute more. I think it's obscene for a young lady to stand behind a counter in a department store. The best years of her life, so what can I do for you, man? Many people don't even entertain dreams because they know they only earn minimum wage. So their thinking is limited by their income.
In the 60s, we were supposed to be idealists. Today, it's almost ugly. It's respectable to fulfill your own dreams, but to dream together is old-fashioned. They are laughing at you globally, my love. Still, you keep fighting. It's a part of you. And I don't love as a political statement. Perhaps my mother's generation of good feminists raised me to feel it. My mother thinks I am choosing a difficult life for myself. A choice between what exactly? This is where I love from. You are trying to change the world, and I am trying to change myself. To find something to pass on. To whom, I'm not sure.
you lost that child. Children belong to another time. They belong to the future.
At least we have each other.
A group of people approached me that had attended some of my seminars and asked whether I would be interested in developing a community of the future. And of course I was interested in that. Well, most of the people pulled out, but there were two people that stuck with the project, and that was Roxanne and Birgit LaHaye. Roxanne Meadows stayed with the project. With the little funds that we have, we purchased 10 acres first, and then another 10 acres, and this enabled us to start the Venus Project. We didn't buy anything. We built our own cabinets, our furniture, our storage systems. She did all the cement work, I did the structures. Without Roxanne, we would never have been able to develop this 22 acres in Venus. And we began to build prototypes of the kind of architecture that would be used to overcome scarcity and house millions of people. We began to work out systems for mass construction. In order to achieve social sustainability, we have to evolve a new economic system that concerns itself with human relations to the environment, other nations, other people, and ourselves. I actually do expect the monetary system to collapse. In order to avoid additional human suffering, for the last 30 years, Roxanne and I had worked diligently to make it possible for people to understand our direction.
Let me move this one a bit.
This time we both need to fight for some kind of future, not just against our whole past.
Here I can see a society built on freedom of the mind, through organization of the physical world.
Where giving out of free will is more than enough. This is the truth you have found, and I am making it mine. We don't want to trade. We want to give freely.
The idealistic movements do not specify the methods of eliminating jealousy, rage, crime, and all the other factors that are generated in an aberrated society. A monetary system is really an interference between what people need and the amount of purchasing power they have. So we would rather do away with money and build a resource-based economy in which the necessities of life are made available directly. I don't believe humans are capable of managing society intelligently due to what we call neural lag. Like if you put me in charge of society and my wife left me or died, I'd feel bad, my decision-making would be affected. But computers still turn out goods and services no matter what happens. So I see the future as using very sophisticated computers that make decisions. Eventually, government will become computerized. For example, the Department of Agriculture will have its tentacles into the soil. So if your water table drops, that will pump water out there. You don't need a guy with a telephone. Says, hey, we're having a drought out here. We need water. So they bring some trucks out there and sprinkle water. We can build all that in just like the human body. I got all these ideas, by the way, from the human body. When you get an infection in your toe, there's no committee meeting of cells that send the committee to the brain and say there's an infection in the toe. The brain says, I'll do a 3-month study. By that time, the infection's up to your knee. So the brain sends the antibodies there right away. That's exactly what a resource-based economy is.
Welcome to Hollywood.
This is a city design. The public library is this building here. So right here you can check out a bicycle, musical instruments, anything you want, free, without a price tag. You don't own anything. You don't own your house. You live in it. It's not owned by anybody. You don't pay rent. You don't pay taxes. Computers, since they can handle trillions of bits of information per second, which we can't do, can advise us on the consequences of our decisions. The computer does not monitor or control people. We don't want people empowered to control other people. Now that's the best we can do. Is it perfection? No. But it's a lot better than what you've got.
How much can machines do? Can they run the things that are necessary to run?
Well, Mr. King, if we can launch a rocket off the Earth while it's turning, find a place on the moon, land it automatically, pick up samples of the soil, bring the ship back without humans, I think the Russians have done this, bring the ship back to the Earth, surely we can handle airliners or anything else with redundancy.
With you, time is unbearable in its unstable state. I am just one body about to explode. I need to live you forwards. It's not a big commitment. A lifetime is painfully short by the endlessness I feel. We need to control time, violate it for us, with any symbols, ceremonies, magic I don't believe in. But at least they are there. Hand it lies, dealing with which I do not know how. May it be a desperate exercise of denial in order to cope with your lips. I want to belong to the same world as my history, speak with my grandmother's tongue. I want her to understand what you mean to me, and I have no other way to tell her. You demand nothing, and all is yours. Please, marry me.
Working in obscurity for about 30 years, and it took until now, when the economy started to crash, that people began looking for something else.
Without further ado, I'd like to bring up my guests. The Venus Project, Roxanne Meadows, and probably the most dangerous man alive.
We're about to embark in a world tour where we'll be speaking in 18 different countries and about 20 different lectures. People all over the world are very interested now.
So address what you feel will happen with the possibility of economic collapse.
I'll try to answer that. I have people that come to me all the time, particularly wealthy people, and they want me to design a city for them with a high wall around it. And in case there's economic collapse, the minorities will rise up and they want to be protected. They make an assumption that the minorities are stupid. They can launch stuff over that wall. There's no way to hide, no place to hide, unless we learn to get along with everybody on Earth. The answer, if you really want an answer, we have to declare all the Earth's resources as the common heritage of all the world's people. Second, we have to dissolve all the artificial boundaries that separate people.
As soon as the guests were dancing, we felt the weight of the word. This is what I didn't say in my wedding speech. You have your search behind you and speak of a world that is yet to come, if at all. Most of us are not ready to sacrifice the happiness we can access here and now, however environmentally unfriendly, artificial, or shallow it may be. So I keep doubting your politics in secret. How on earth will you convince the world to live your vision?
There's always new ideas and new materials come out which extend the dimensions of your thinking. So with new inventions like nanotechnology, it gives us a whole new set of tools to think with. There are many people out there with wonderful ideas. Every Edison discovered, for every one of them, there are probably thousands that never get a chance. And once we share ideas without saying what's in it for me, which is backward, the minute the world joins together in a common venture, that'll be the beginning of the scientific age.
You are perfect as you are, if I don't demand you to be everything. In giving you all of me, that is the demand I place on you. I am sorry I neglected my lovers, that you had to carry all of my love. I'm glad you remembered in time. Your lover has given you something beautiful. A confidence and a security that also becomes mine. And that completely overrules the moments of hurt I still feel. I don't want this jealousy. You are not playing with my emotions. You are giving me a gift. And with that gift, I am expanding. A legal piracy with human hearts.
Here in England, with the financial problems that the establishment has been having over the last couple of years, I think that people have become more interested in finding out about alternative ways of shaping society. Even now, where you have so much negative behavior from governments, you know, there are still some good people out there doing good. So if good people can flourish in a negative environment, imagine how well good people would flourish in a good environment.
Do you think we have the power to change?
Without a doubt. What we don't have is the power to think we have the power to change.
They say we miss real struggle in this century. They should try freedom.
Objects can be made layer by layer, because any form can be broken down to layers. The way you print an object in 3 dimensions is absolutely analogous to a desktop printer. But if you imagine printing a shape onto a piece of paper and then printing another shape, gradually you'll create something in 3 dimensions. It's very much being regarded as the second industrial revolution. But it's saliently different because instead of having large centers of manufacture, of course, manufacture can be at home. So every house becomes its own cottage industry. The machine at the Royal College of Art builds in an epoxy resin. That's the clear plastic. Wherever the laser touches the resin, it goes from liquid to solid, and it builds up layer by layer. The technology is now becoming known as 3D printing, and that's a term to encompass all additive layer manufacturing technologies. And the plan is, in the future, to be able to build not houses, but whole towns, whole cities.
And what would happen with all the workers?
They would be sitting in the parks, drinking Chardonnay, and having a jolly good time. In the future, when we can start building from base materials from these systems, such as using carbon and using water, you could transfer base elements down a fiber optic line and be reassembled at the other end. So you could not only print, for example, a rump steak, you could print a rump steak at exactly the right temperature and crispness that you would like to eat. Now, of course, that technology could create the biggest war that this world has ever seen, while people fight to control such a technology, because not only would it be able to have the power to replicate and build any object that you desired, it would have the potential to take away need, take away want. And these are drivers in the world economy which are kept in place, I feel, to keep the rich rich by virtue of the poor being poor. When we look further about, machines that can replicate themselves using base materials, widely available materials, then perhaps the economy would collapse, but there would be no need for an economy. Economies are all about trade. People saying, I'll give you this metal implement if you give me 4 chickens. You don't need trade. When your own machine that can not only build a metal implement, but can build 6 chickens.
All this freedom comes with responsibility. Freedom can be more restricting than following rules. Rules can be bent. Awareness of another person's feelings cannot.
And when the love for the other expands, when it too wants to speak with all languages and rituals developed for its expression, where does that grow?
Love does multiply when we let it loose. So does pain. Like any good anarchist, we miss rules as it's all collapsing.
The technology is terrific, but we're abusing it. We're creating wars. We're creating poverty. What brought us out of the Great Depression in the 1930s was World War II. It wasn't anything that the politicians were doing. But today we have 3 wars in the United States, and this is not bringing us out of the huge depression that we have now. It's just going to get worse. And we don't have much more to pollute, to blow up.
Or what is the behavior of electrons and protons?
We can use nuclear noise in a non-destructive way. without creating any waste. We have energy in abundance all around us. All we have to do is to capture it. The key to this is actually water. We are bringing together three components to build a machine that will utilize hydrogen in a new way. We call it infrastructure in a box. Our vision is to make green energy available for everyone on this planet, free of charge. So we have decided to put together a prototype showing that it's possible.
We need support, advice, but reaching out gives us quite the opposite. Instead, people take the right to challenge the possibility of our happiness. They are relieved we are hurting. They have told us so. But we are asking them for strength to keep fighting for something we believe in. Not for them to convince us that the fight is impossible and already lost. Their love is holding us back.
Det kan ju också vara intressant att konstatera det som mycket forskning har visat, nämligen att radikalt nya idéer i en bransch kommer aldrig inifrån. Kommer alltid från någon outsider som inte är belastad med gammalt tankegods, utan som går in utan bindningar, med friska ögon och ser en möjlighet. Och kanske är det så här.
It consumes no fuel, no energy, no input except solar radiation.
Yeah.
Why has it been rejected? What's the objection?
Most objections, of course, is that
it's against the laws of thermodynamics.
Yes, and then I said,
check it out.
Yeah, check it out.
Won't they check it out?
No, there have been people telling me, we don't even want to look at it.
I understand. Okay. Now, that's the same story with the Wright brothers.
Yeah.
Scientists at the time used to write books on why man can fly.
Yeah.
They never read those books, so they built a flying machine.
Yeah, exactly.
It's unfortunate. I have the same experience as you have.
Yeah.
I think it's an interesting approach and should be investigated. Best I can say for it.
Why do I care so much of what people think? Perhaps they are not the problem, but that these institutions exist also inside of me. We know what we have in the moment, but we have the past stuck in our future, and time does not fit.
If we continue with our monetary system and fail to install what we already know to solve these problems, our environment will collapse.
This division, this contradiction, is a part of us. We change ourselves to try to fit in, but there comes a point when you can't bend any further. And at that point, you have to drag everyone along, not to be alone. Like sails of flesh catching wind, nailed to those we love. The whole planet hanging in our skin. Have you ever felt like that?
Go ahead, Jack.
Thank you.
We can put it next to that other box.
Do you think there's an end to human potential?
We can go as far as our capabilities to imagine new things. But if you ever build an environment, say that's it, that's what's called an established society. All societies in the future will be emergent, never established, because there'll be discussions all the time. What's new? How can it be applied? How can people become smarter and better and more humane? There is no final frontiers. That's why you can't have utopia. Oh, a lot of people think that I'm a utopian. I have no final concepts. Everything I design, I look at again and say, yeah, I can do better. And when you think you design the final thing, you're dead. That's why older people look back and say, boy, the great days when I was 21. I look forward.
You have mastered our logic beautifully and act accordingly, but you have become distant to me. And in this blindness, we cannot help but stepping on each other. You always remain happy in the future, where you are dictating our new feelings for our new world. You live there a lot now. I thought I would find you here. I don't master my emotions like you do. I am angry, completely out of proportion. We did it. We constructed a different future. It is possible. It is also possible to live under a bridge with 20 rats and a pigeon. It was not supposed to feel like this.
It's really kind of sad to have to sell the place after 30
Well, we'll
years.
build a far better place. This is only the early stages of the Venus.
Right, right,
But
sure.
we'll build a far more advanced system, along with a museum and a new city.
Well, we would prefer to stay here if we could afford it, but it's very, very difficult at this time. We got our funding through doing architectural renderings and models. When the economy did crash, it hurt us as well. We're advocating a resource-based economy. In a way, the economy needs to fail in order to have more people realize that this might be an option. But we live in a monetary system today, so we do need funds to continue. So it is a bit contradictory.
We live in a very interesting time. And social change is always painful, particularly when they don't know what to do. The politicians never look ahead because they think, well, there's always recessions, it'll work its way out.
Yeah.
It will work its way out. No such thing. You have to really work it out. It's like hoping a bridge will form over water without designing it. Everything that we know of comes through change, and the world keeps changing. The plants change, the continents drift, the oceans change, the climate changes, and we must learn how to accommodate the change. And we must prepare people to understand that change is the only constant. The minute you think you have it, you start dying. When you got a way of thinking, you think, that's the best way. I'm going to look for a girl that thinks my way. That's all you can do. And both of you become obsolete unless you keep changing.
I thought we would be flexible enough. I still thought we would last forever. I wonder why you don't cry. Have you already mourned our losses? I've been filled with fear as soon as I feel happy without you. Have you been okay with the loss of our past because you still believe in our future? I miss living here and now, with all its imperfections. If I project perfection, I dream you. But I don't want to dictate my own future. I could never dream wild enough. Love is unbearable, and we can only search for a way to cope living it. We will never be ready to start. We have been living it all along. Looking for it is the ideal.
We don't live long enough, as a rule, to put these experiences together. Just about when you learn all about life and how it works, you're on your way out.
Finally, I can understand your politics, my way. Sorry it took me so long. We will adapt, share. Let's not underestimate the hunger of a human heart. We have too much to destroy. Far too much love for each other to be thrown away on this relationship. So we need to set it free. With all symbols at hand, all ceremonies, magic I don't believe in. I want a divorce. It happens all the time. Populations grow out of their civilizations. Lovers out of their relationships. Civilizations fall. People move on. This is us. Our love is different now.